Welcome to the Ladies Kickin' Ass podcast, where we help you ignite your inner badass and create the service business of your dreams. I'm your host, Tanya Wilson, and together we'll dive into inspiring stories and expert coaching to set your journey on fire. Hello, badasses. Welcome back to the podcast. Today is going to be a good, fun one. And today we're going to throw in a little bit of let's work on our personal selves because it's summertime. And this is what we're talking about along with kicking ass in our business and being a kick ass mom at home to all these kids running around our house. We have to remember, and we've talked about it so much the last couple of weeks, that we also need to take care of ourselves. And so we couldn't have a better guest to come on today to talk about this. Kim Rahir is here with us today on the podcast, and she has quite a story about her that is absolutely, you're just going to be marveled by Kim. I will put everything in the show notes for you to follow along with her on social media. It's absolutely incredible what she has been able to do. And many times you're like, well, I didn't start when I was 20. I didn't start when I was 30. I didn't start when I was 40. It's too late for me to do things. Kim is a true testament that you can start whenever the hell you want to and still be super awesome at what you do. So, Kim, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Who is Kim? And then tell us what you love to do for a living and how you're helping women.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for having me, Tanya. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I can feel that this is going to be so much fun. So, my name is Kim, as you said. I'm 60 years old. I'm a German, but I live in lovely, sunny Spain. I used to be a journalist for something like 20 years of my life. Then I got very, very ill, muscled my way literally out of that illness, got better, thought, I might be onto something here with that muscle thing. And started, certified as a personal trainer, health coaching, everything. And now I'm helping women become strong physically and solve a ton of problems that they experience with their health, with their fitness, in the process. Like, it's very close to a one-stop shop. I mean, you can't sort of drink through the nights and not sleep and then build muscle. That's not going to work. So you're going to have to make it a bit of a lifestyle. But if you focus on muscle and strength, so much of shenanigans and unpleasantness will go away. And on the way, I also became an Olympic weightlifter. I started lifting in a gym normally, and then I somehow found Olympic weightlifting, um, which is an explosive sport. So you would guess that a 60-year-old woman shouldn't do this, but I'm loving it. I'm super passionate about it. And I warn you, if you ask me any questions about Olympic lifting, I'm going to ramble for half an hour.
What is Olympic lifting? Is that like I'm lifting like insane amounts of weight? Or like, how did you get into, you say you found it. How does one find Olympic weightlifting?
Yeah, it kind of found me. So I was lifting in a gym, lifting heavy, what not many women do. And I was working with a personal trainer who loved working with me because I just, said, bring it on, let's lift heavy, and trying to work up to a 200-pound deadlift and stuff like this. And one day he came and said, I just started this thing. This is like really fun. It's Olympic weightlifting. Do you want to try it? So yeah, why not? Yeah, let's give it a go. And it's actually, you might have seen those. It's like, usually it's like fat guys on a scene. They wear these weird leotards. That's how I saw them as a kid. They had this weird leotards, and at the time the leotards were like criminal because their bellies hung out and everything. And there's just two movements in Olympic weightlifting. So you have the idea is to put the bar overhead from the floor. It's on the floor. You need to go overhead. And there's two movements. The first is called the snatch, and that's why you do that in one move. So from the floor, it goes straight over your head. And then the other one is the clean and jerk, where you can rest it on the shoulders first, and then you put it overhead. And that's it. I tried it, sucked at it, like totally, because it's very technical. And that's the fascinating thing, because it's not just pure strength. You need technique. So it's not only physical, it's also physics. So you have to sort of outsmart gravity, and you have to mechanize the movement because it's explosive. There's a point where you don't consciously control the movement anymore. So you have to just do it over and over again to make sure that your lifts look as similar as possible. But it's hard, but it's fun, and I got hooked, and I'm loving it.
That's so cool. So, when you are doing competitions with the weightlifting stuff, is this something that like you become recognized for this and you get invited to competitions? Is it kind of like like in the United States, Spartan races are big things. Like people will go and compete in all of these different kinds of races throughout, but it's kind of like you just go and you sign up for them. Or is this something like you become recognized as this and you get invited to go to these competitions?
Well, there's like federations, like national federations, international federations, and you have to meet certain standards. So you have to compete like locally or nationally with a certain amount of referees to make it like a recognized minimum standard that you achieved, and then you can sign up. And when I first started, I was still in the commercial gym, but I switched to a pure weightlifting club really quickly. And they asked me if I wanted to compete after something like 2 weeks. And I thought, oh my God, I'm 55. I'm competing. And I said, yes, let's do this. So the first meet was local. And I got curious and I checked the standards for the European competitions, and I actually had met that standard. So I said, well, might as well, let's go international. Really exciting. That was in 2019, my first European championship. And so you need to have the minimum standard, which actually, when you turn 60, from 59 to 60, it drops by many, many pounds. The older you get, of course, the lower the standard is, which is, I mean, you know, I think they sort of calculated that and know that from experience that this is like a challenging weight for a woman of that kind of weight and that kind of age. And
Yeah.
my plan is to be still there when I'm 80 and still go there and lift in those competitions.
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh, it's just too late for me, I want you to remember Kim and be like, look at I'm like flabbergasted at the ability of somebody to take this on. And like that scares me to death when I go in the gym. I'm like, I'm too old for that. I'd say that to my daughter all the time. And I'm like, I have to stop using
No
that as an
way.
excuse because the more I got to learn about you, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's kicking people's ass out there. And it's so cool to be able to see that you went on that journey. A lot of things I think to getting into, let's talk about like physical shape, losing weight, just really working on your personal health is a lot of mental things too, of like you telling yourself, I'm too old for this, you telling yourself that you can't do this. How did you get your mind to a place where you're like, I could do this and I could be really good at this and really believing in yourself to go out there and do it?
Well, I think it's got something to do with my personal history because I had like a very traumatizing brush with autoimmune disease, which when I was 45, from one day to the next, I found myself in hospital. And after 3 weeks, I was actually totally paralyzed from the hips downwards. I didn't know when I was going to be able to walk again, which was super scary and traumatizing because you lose all your power. Already, when you go
Mhm.
to a hospital, you lose your power because you cannot decide who's in your room, the lights on in your room or off, or when you're going to have your breakfast and all these things. But when you can't walk, when you're like paralyzed, you have zero. I like to have you have like minus power because you feel like a thing. You have to ask people to take you to the toilet and stuff like this. It's absolutely horrible. I got over this. It was a one-off, that one. 2 years later, I was, however, diagnosed with MS because I had more autoimmune troubles. And I think from this hospital experience, I had this desire to become like really badass, strong. I just wanted to be physically strong after this experience of powerlessness. And that's how I started. And the thing was, I got myself a book and I lifted heavy. And it was one of the first books that said women should lift heavy, stop the stuff with the pink little dumbbells, it's not going to take you
Yeah.
anywhere. And I got better so quickly. That's the amazing thing. I didn't have much damage from my MS relapses, I mean, to this day, I just have no sensitivity in my left hand, or very little. But otherwise, I had no. I had some reflexes that had gone and stuff. That all came back, and I don't say that you can cure MS with weightlifting, because I haven't had any symptoms for years and years, and I even stopped my treatment. But I think what it does, and I think that's what helped me also later on, when you lift heavy, you get this experience in your brain and literally in your fibers that you can overcome resistance. In
Yeah.
the gym, it's gravity. In the gym, it's gravity, and you say, "Okay, my bar, let's see if I can, lift you up." Gravity doesn't want you to go up, but I'm gonna get you up there just the same. And I think that this experience, that it sort of gets really ingrained in your being, and when you meet resistance in other parts of your life, you have this experience. You know that you can overcome it. It's not a reason to stop. And any kind of limiting belief that we could have, like I'm too old for this shit, or it's
Mhm.
all just some kind of resistance. It could be inner
Yep.
resistance, could be outer resistance. But once you've learned that you can overcome that, you're kind of unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much of everything that we accomplish or even try to do is how we talk to ourselves inside of our heads. And lots of times we're not very nice at the things that you say. If you would say out loud some of the things that you think about yourself, looking at yourself in a mirror. I remember hearing this from a podcast years ago, and I was like, that just stuck with me forever because when you tell yourself, I can't do this, or I shouldn't do this, or like I'm too old for this shit, like you said, or things like that, would you ever say, like, turn around as a mother and be like, say that to your kids? Would you ever say that to your
Yeah,
friend or your
never.
spouse or your partner or anything? No, but we say such horrible things to ourselves and then wonder why we're not accomplishing things. It is because of the way that you talk and believe in yourselves. And I love the whole attitude of lifting heavy and taking on hard things, like you said, like, that you can now fight resistance with things. When you do that hard shit, it makes you stronger to want to take on bigger and better and crazier ideas and things. And just getting started is where it all comes from. I know for women, a lot of times when I'm in the gym and I see people, it's like we just hit the cardio like crazy. We don't ever do the lifting heavy things because women are scared of that. When you started doing that in the gym, you said that you were working with a trainer. Did the trainer inspire you to do heavy lifting, or was this something that you kind of came up with to do that? Because I think women are like, okay, I hear this. I need to build muscle mass. Like, we're getting in that age where we're like, we need to, like, work on, you need muscles to protect the rest of your body and to be, like you're talking about, fighting off even things that you've been dealing with health issues. Where would somebody get started on doing something like that if they're interested in pursuing what you have done?
Well, I actually started with this book, and to this day, I don't remember where I found this. It has a very weird title. It was called uh, Lift Like a Man, Look Like a Goddess. I don't know why
Ooh,
I liked it so much. And the authors say that nowadays they wouldn't call the book like that. Apparently, it wouldn't be very, in in fashion anymore to say something like that. I don't know why. I found the idea great that you
I
could
love
do
it.
like yeah, like raw stuff and like really lift heavy, and that you would still look great. And I think this is a big one because so many women worry, how it will make them look. When all I can say to that is just ask yourself, how is it going to make you feel, and then make
Yes.
your decision based on that. I think the step into the gym is a big problem. Like they say, the heaviest weight in the gym is the front door, and I think for many women that is a big thing. I speak to
Mhm.
many women who really don't want to join a gym, and you need to find a way to start small and start at home. if you are such a stranger to this, there's no point in saying on January 1st, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week or something like this, because it will be extremely, excessively hard to go through with that if you have never been a gym goer. And we have this idea that we're taking this one big decision, right? We're going to go to the gym 3 times a week, my one big January decision. When what we're actually condemning ourselves to is taking like 20 decisions 3 times a week, packing the gym bag, getting into the car, driving through the traffic, finding a parking spot. These are all decisions that we have to take in something that we do not have ingrained, that we do not have automated. That's not a habit. So, the very first day you have a bad day at work or something comes up, you were just not going to do it because you won't have the
Yeah.
force to take all these decisions that are so totally out of your comfort zone and your habits. So what I do with the women I work with, I have them start at home 15 minutes a day, nothing more, and stuff that you can do in your pajamas in the morning. So you
Mhm.
really only have to take one decision, which is like when you get up, just do my exercises and be done with it. And I think that's a way where the resistance, your inner resistance, and also the resistance, of your schedule and the people around you and everything, is minimized. You want to minimize the resistance.
Yes, I think a lot of women that listen to this podcast too are obviously go-getters. They're like, If I'm gonna go to the gym, like I'm gonna be there for a whole damn hour and I'm gonna get this done and I'm gonna get this done." They're all or nothing. I know that I have fought that a lot myself too. I'm like, well, if I only go to the gym one day a week, is it really making a big difference? I just won't go then. Or I have to
Yeah.
consistently be going 5, 6 days a week, or I kick my own ass because I didn't make it. And I love what you said about how, like, it's not just the decision to go to the gym, it's all the decisions you gotta make in order to get to the freaking gym to start with. I I know that all too well because I use those excuses myself. So at 15 minutes a day, so somebody starts working with you, they're doing 15 minutes a day. What does that 15 minutes a day difference really do for them versus not doing anything at all? Because most people will be like, 15 minutes, that's not enough time, but it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. It's what so many people think because uh, we're exposed to so much stuff, like extreme running and heavy lifting, and we see all these things, and we think, what, 15 minutes a day? What can that do? And for most women who haven't exercised in a while, the main point is actually to start rebuild the connection between the brain and the muscles. So the effectiveness of a muscle contraction is actually the speed of the signal that comes from your central nervous system. And if you haven't used that connection in a while, the brain sort of puts it offline. So I don't have to contract my butt muscles. Okay, so why am I going to waste energy on that connection? And then there's something that happens when people have not exercised for a long time and been sitting a lot. They actually can't contract their glutes because this muscle memory is lost. So with most women, when I start these 15 minutes, we use just to rebuild that connection. So they become much more functional. And then we work on just very simple, basic movements, because that's the crazy thing. Yes, we want to build muscle, but we are training movements, not muscle. And by training movements, we are building the muscle. So we're doing stuff like, pushing and pulling and picking stuff up from the floor and getting stuff down from overhead. Um, so it's very functional. It will carry over into your everyday life, especially if you have kids that you carry around. They will
Mhm.
feel much lighter already after a few weeks. And the first and biggest effect of doing these 15 minutes a day is an energy surge. It's after 2 weeks, oh my God, I have so much energy. And that's, the biggest, the knock-on effect of that is immeasurable, because you will have more energy to make, good food decisions. You will have more energy to move around more, because when you're tired and when you're feeling so exhausted all the time, your brain will downregulate your movement without you even noticing it. You will just get up from a chair less often. You just walk shorter distances and stuff, and that is something your brain does without you even noticing when you're exhausted. So this nothing but this energy surge from training 15 minutes a day will have knock-on effects that will be noticeable very, very quickly.
Yeah. And it's like you've kept a commitment that you made to yourself. And if it's 15 minutes and you've done it for 2 weeks consistently, you start building more confidence to maybe even increase that to 20 minutes a day because you have just shown yourself that you can do it for 15 minutes a day. So sometimes it's that starting, like being able to start over as a beginner of something. I think women that are high achievers are kind of like, I got to get in there and instantly be great at this. That is not what you have to do with things. I think a lot of times for women in the gym too, they get in there and they're like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing in here as far as weightlifting goes, because a lot of them are not shown. So if you're not working with a trainer, you may feel a little silly in there because you're not quite sure what you're supposed to be doing. And so they instantly default back to the treadmill because it's like, well, I know how to run, so I can do that while I'm here.
Yeah.
What would be your advice for women just getting into the gym that say they're going to the gym? What do they start with? That's just something that's really simple or a suggestion for them to get started to where everybody at the beginning is a beginner and everybody isn't looking at you necessarily the way that you think that they are. But what are some tips that you would give somebody that's getting into the gym to just get started on simple things as far as weightlifting goes?
You definitely want to go in there with some kind of plan or program. So that's something that you can stick to. If you want to, you're on the gym floor, maybe it's a stressful situation for you because you have these reservations and these insecurities, and then you're supposed to recall the exercises you wanted to do. That's never going to happen. So you want to have something like a written plan. I mean, it can even be on your phone or on paper, whatever it is, but some exercises that you want to do. And then what you really can do, if you don't know how the machines work or how the free weights work, you can, take that exercise, go to someone and ask them, how do I do this? And it could be a trainer who's walking around the gym floor because, if you're shy of talking
Mhm.
to just other gym goers, that's totally normal. But there could be a trainer walking around. There should be, if it's a good gym, there should be a trainer walking around. And then you say, okay, I want to do bicep curls. Can you help me a little bit? What kind of weights should I pick? And they will love helping you. This is
Yeah.
something I know it's like this defensive reflex that we all have. We go to this unknown territory and we think, and this is our ancient brain, right? That's the animal
Mhm.
that lives inside us. We'll say, oh my God, I don't know this. This must be dangerous. Yeah, this is very threatening. And your brain literally feels like, oh my God, I might die here because I don't know where I am. And there might be predators and stuff. So, you have to override this fear with your reasonable brain and remember that most people in the gym are like really happy to help you out. There might be some who are totally in the zone or doing crazy stuff, but you'll always find a friendly face that you can ask, how do I do this? But it's best if you come with some kind of plan. If you have no plan, then it's like you're walking in there blindly, and that's really tough. And then you need to, like you said, go back into a beginner's mind. Beginner's mind is a great attitude, anyways, because everything is changing all the time. And even if you've done the same exercise for years, you will never do it in exactly the same way. So might as well have this open mind and try to experience something new. And then, of course, as you said, most people are not really interested in watching us and seeing what we're
Yeah.
doing or how we're looking. They're busy with their own stuff, and they'll be happy to help if we ask them. This is a big shift, in the mindset to go there with this intention of getting some kind of help or advice. Because when you go in this defensive attitude and think, "Oh my God, I hope nobody sees me. I just want to do something quick," and then you're not going to get it done. You have to sort of make this decision before and say, "Okay, I'm going to get there. I'm going to do what I've written down here, And if I don't know where or how to do it, I'm going to ask someone.
Absolutely. So a big part of that takeaway I get from that, ladies, is have a plan because we talk about this all the time. Fail to plan, plan to fail. You get in there, you get overwhelmed because you don't know what the hell you went in there to do in the first place. Show up with a plan. There's so many apps that you can download on your phone now for like super cheap that will give you all of the fitness workout stuff. We've had Fit Foodie Chicks on here before. They're great friends of mine here in Gilbert. They have an app that will walk you through like all kinds of workouts if it's something that you're wanting to do. So be sure to check that out. And if you get into the gym, bring some badass music, turn it on, and focus on nothing but yourself. You can tell when you go into the gym the ones that are in there to look good and the ones that went in there to work out. You know what I mean? Like, I know that is a big thing in the United States. It's all of the fitness influencers that, they may have a bead of sweat by the time they leave, but they've made their videos. That's not what you're in there looking for anyways. We're not trying to be those people. We're in there focused on our health. One of the things I see in the gym a lot too is conversations with women in gym classes I've been in where they are having this debate of whether cardio is better or weightlifting is better. What are the benefits of lifting heavy and building that muscle mass versus just taking a 3-mile run on a treadmill?
We just have to keep our muscle. Muscle is the tissue of longevity. It's we have so much research now. It's for ec- every single aspect of our health. It's for our metabolic health, for our cardiovascular health, for bone health, joint health, and mental health. If you build muscle, you're going to be. Oh, it's really a complete solution. And I always have this hierarchy of exercise. If you only have, you know, say you have very little time, you want to spend that on strength training, definitely, because you're going to build a bigger engine. Your muscle mass
Mhm.
is like your engine. You have a bigger engine, you need more fuel. So you don't have to worry so much about your food intake. And it's something that we never consider. But if we have a bigger engine and we can eat more, we can also eat more nutrients because we can eat a bigger variety of foods. We can make sure that we get all the multitude of micronutrients and vitamins and enzymes that are in different foods. If we become smaller and smaller and smaller, and our engine needs less and less fuel, the variety of nourishing food that we can eat also shrinks, and that's a health risk. So the hierarchy is this: if you have a little bit of time, do strength training. If you can do 3 days of training a week and you still have some time left, then you can start doing some cardio. For the average person, I actually think that walking 10K steps a day um, is all the cardio that you need when you begin. So you don't have to worry about other things. And I don't know. I know that cardio is fun. I love it too. Um, but if you do only that, you're not going to build enough muscle. You're not going to build enough bone density and bone strength. Um, and then if it's like running, for example, I know so many women who start running because for some reason, and I think we have Kenneth Cooper to thank for this from the 70s. So many people still think that running is like the best that you can do for your health and for everything, and it's great, and it's going to make you very lean and slim and everything. But for most people who haven't moved in a long time, it's just going to get them injured.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That I think something too, I love what you said about the bone density part of stuff. None of us are getting any younger. The older that we get, the importance, like they had all these commercials for many years that was like, oh, if you drink milk, then you have strong bones. If you have, it's like all of this, like, I'm just going to take calcium and I'm going to have strong bones or I'm going to do this. As we age, especially women, the bone density gets so much less than what you had when you were younger. Talk to me about what the effects are with protecting your bones more when you build muscle versus just worrying so much of the time about being lean and skinny.
Yeah. So muscle and bone tissue gets sort of broken down and rebuilt around the clock in the body. Um, and the bone density, the way your bone is built and strong and can withstand force, it depends totally on what you put on it as a load. So if you do not load your bones, they will just become more brittle. The body is so ruthless. It's the same that I said before about the brain that says, oh, we don't contract the glutes, so then we're going to just shut off that connection. If we don't load the bones, then the body says, oh my God, we don't need this, so I'm going to take stuff out of there and put it somewhere else. It's in the
Mhm.
body, it's all about allocation. It's all about allocation. We have to understand this, that there is, the brain sort of allocates resources to the body parts that demand and that need the resources. And if you do not demand those resources for your muscles and your bones, they're not going to get them. And they're going to break down and they're going to become weak. And with bones, that is really dramatic. Its dramatic falls are like a big cause of mortality. They are so debilitating. One fall, and that could be, I mean, some women start having taking tumbles in their 50s, and one fall can make you age like a decade because it immobilizes you, it makes you dependent. It also makes you sort of afraid and scared because you fell once, you don't want to fall again, so you move even less, and it really can start a vicious cycle. You'd want to load those muscles, and then the bones with it, to make sure that they stay strong. And if we don't do that from 35 years onwards, like we lose bone density at a very alarming rate. And 35 is when we have the most. We're never going to have more than we had with 35. We can't build anymore from then on. We can just conserve, like really be like really deliberate about this because it's such a big health risk.
Yeah. Oh, that's so important. And I think it's something that women aren't talked to a lot about because some women still have this mindset of if I go lift heavy weights, I'm gonna, look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something, like these big bodybuilder guys. And you're like, that's not going to happen. Like a female's body is not going to just plump up like this without adding some other stuff to it too, correct? Like that's not what's going to happen
A-
to these ladies when they lift heavy.
Absolutely never. I mean, there could be one or two like genetic outliers that put on muscle easily,
Mhm.
because we have outliers, in both genders, in men and women.
Sure.
But no, the average woman, no, there's no way. Actually, think of it this way: you want to build that muscle mass because it's your health insurance, it's your longevity insurance. Why would you worry about putting on muscle? It's so hard to do that. I can't understand. If you see guys, they want to be like hench and they go and train, and some of them,
Mhm.
they toil and toil and toil and they train for years and they can't get this bulky look. And then women come along and think, "Oh my God, if I look at this pink dumbbell like from 2 yards away, I'm just gonna blow up." It's not happening. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And what I said before, here's the question: why on earth are you worrying about how this is going to make you look when you should ask yourself, how is this going to make me feel? What kind of priority is that? How do you want to feel? And I can guarantee you, when you feel great and strong and confident, you are just going to look fantastic.
Oh, so well said. So well said. Because right now, I know for sure, I mean, you're in Spain. I'm not sure how it is over there, but what we see here in the United States is there's this massive just craze over these weight loss drugs. And it's Ozempic
Ooh.
and Wegovy or whatever. And the only reason I know that is because it's constantly on the TV, some kind of advertisement, which I think like And I know women that have been on this. I know women that have had complications from this, like ended up in the hospital
Wow.
situations, and what long term effects this is actually making. What I wanted this entire podcast to be about today is really look at your health. And that's why I love what you just said there. Like, why are we always so concerned with we're going to make a decision based upon how it's going to make us look versus how it makes us feel? Because feeling is so much more important than how it makes you look. You're not, if you want to lose weight for a vanity thing and take these drugs and it all comes off super fast and you're like, woohoo, talk to me about maybe what some of those implications are with women doing that versus choosing to lift heavy, choosing to make a lifestyle change, and choosing to take a little bit more time to get it off. But the difference between those two weight loss methods.
Yeah, I think the first thing that everybody needs to know, and I don't think everybody's very clear on this, because I've heard women say, "Oh, it's my metabolism, it's my this, it's my that, and I just can't get the weight off. I need this weight loss drug." What these drugs do, and the only thing they do, is they make you eat less. So it's no magic tool to increase your metabolism. It's not an automatic fat burner. They actually just get you to eat less. It's as
Mhm.
basic as that. They do that by repressing or lowering the reward center in your brain. And I can tell
Mm.
you that there were experiments. I think it was even on the market. There was a weight loss drug a while ago that that lowered the reward center in the brain so much that there was a big number of suicides of people who took this one, because it doesn't only take away the joy from eating, but from everything else in your life too. Now, I know
Yeah.
that the ones that we have now are safer, and this is not, but I want you to understand the basic principle is it makes you eat less. Now, I really think that there are some people, and there's even like a bit of a genetic predisposition to this, who struggle tremendously with eating less, and it's close to impossible for them. And if this kind of drug helps them get started, and if they're like really dangerously overweight, I think there's really this is a justified use for this to help them get going, get some kind of result. But it has to come with lifestyle coaching. They have to start moving and changing their eating habits, because the data is very clear on this. The minute you stop taking those drugs, the weight goes back up, except if you change your ways. And then
Mhm.
there's also this question of power for me, because I mentioned this about my illness and how I felt so horrible having lost my power. It's also a way of giving away your power. So you're saying, okay, I need to eat less. I can by no means achieve that myself. So I'm gonna sort of have, pay for someone, inject myself, depend on this thing to make it happen. I think as women, we want to be empowered. We don't want to give power away. We have to fight so much for our power in so many situations. And like you said, just for a way that we are going to look, we want to relinquish that power. I'd much rather try and work on how can I really eat less. And people tell me often, Kim, I mean, you have a business, a health business, and a coaching business. Don't tell people they need to eat less, because they're never going to work with you. Nobody wants to eat less. But I don't want to lie to people. We have
No.
so much food around us. We are eating too much. So we need to eat less. And I think we can achieve that with a patient, sort of loving and caring approach. We can actually end up eating less, of our own sort of decision, and controlling this by ourselves, and not depend on injections. Spend an enormous amount of money on this. It comes with a lot of discomfort too. It slows the emptying of your bowels. So I don't think you feel very good. I think it comes with nausea and all these things that
Mhm.
keep you from eating. But I think it's really important to know that's all they do. They make you eat less. And if you think that you have even the slightest chance of eating less without that, then go for that and give that a shot.
Yes. Oh, thank you for talking about the empowerment part of that too, because I never even really thought about it that way, but so true. It is so true. Like we said earlier in the podcast, you want to build confidence, set something up for yourself and stick to it. Show up for yourself. How many times do we show up for all of these people on our schedule, our kids, our parents, our spouses, our teams, our everything, and you put yourself on the back burner there? You start showing up for yourself for things and start believing you can do stuff. You don't want to give your power to somebody else. Now they stop making this. Now somebody has control over things. For me, it's a control thing. Like, I will figure this out. I will do this
Yes.
myself because I want to be in control of, if I know that I'm in control of the effort that goes into this, I sure as hell will bet on myself all day long before somebody else, because the only person you have true control over is yourself. So I love that you said that. And that's a really awesome way to look at things. I know there's a lot of women, especially moms, they're like, I just don't look the same. I don't, I struggle with a body image situation. But what we need to remember, and I love so much about what you're doing, Kim, is that it's an evolution of things. You've been through all kinds of things, health challenging wise, which you've come out the other side because you've stayed positive and you took the control yourself to do that. That is something that we can do also as women. We're supposed to evolve. You're not supposed to look like you did when you were 18 and now you're 45. Like, that's just weird to even put that expectation on ourselves. And I know that's what society does. And this is where you have to make that decision of, I'm going to be me. What makes me feel good? What makes me feel healthy, instead of what you think everybody thinks you should look like. So I love that so much. Kim, this has been such an awesome conversation. I've loved this so much. Why don't you tell us what you do in your health coaching business and how people can contact you if they're interested in working with you or learning more about what you offer?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, I work with women who want to sort of get in shape, but who are sort of bought in into my concept that this works through becoming physically strong. So they want to train, they want to work out, and they want to take control of their eating, just as you said, um, but in an intuitive and mindful and a loving way. So I build a training program for you, and that also meets you where you are at. I think this is really important, with all the workouts that we see online that you've mentioned. There's so much great stuff. It must really be right for you, so you can, you're challenged but you're not overwhelmed. And everybody has a different story, a different body, a different experience, and different skills. So it's really a personalized program. It has to be like this, otherwise it will not work the magic that it does once you start doing this. And the nutrition part is like really tune back into your body and take control in a way where you are able to understand how much food you need, what kind of food you need, and you can use that method, that blueprint that we work on for you, in any kind of situation. So you can, you can go on a cruise and eat well for yourself. You don't have to worry. You don't need an injection. You don't need a meal plan. You have this all sort of internalized, and it works because it's forgiving. It's caring, supportive, and it has no forbidden foods or anything, because those things, they just drive us crazy, and it makes for a gentle, very effective change. And then, there's a community of support, which is also very important. I think we need to support each other as women. So the support is like 24/7, and really very, very close, which is a great difference also to a PT who you see 3 times a week, which is great. But then that's 3 hours a week, and for the rest of the time you're alone. And in online coaching, because with your phone you have a connection with me all the time, which is really great. If you
Yeah.
if you want to find out more, what you can do is follow me or look at my accounts on social media, Kim Rahir with my name. I share the stuff that I'm up to. Um, Lots of thoughts and ideas and tips on how to go about this. Then you can also go to my website, kimrahir.com, and on there's a free assessment where you can actually get a very good picture of where you are at right now. So it's sort of like a holistic kind of questionnaire about your physical strength and how it sort of plays into your daily routine, how you can cope with your routine. And once you've taken that, I give you some hints and steps on, what you can do next in this very, very moment.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we will definitely link all of that good stuff in the show notes so it makes it nice and easy, even the quiz, for people to jump on and take a look. See where you're at. If you're a beginner in something like this, be a beginner. It's okay. If you're going to change a lifestyle that you've never lived before, then you've got to be okay with being a beginner. And we talk about that on the podcast all the time. You want to be good at something you've never tried before? Get really good at being okay with being a beginner. Because it's usually where people give up because they're like, well, I'm so good at all these other things. And now I started something new and I should just instantly be good at it. It's very difficult to bring yourself back down to that. But be the beginner, be the student again. And, you don't always have to be the teacher. Be the student again. Follow Kim on Instagram. There's beautiful things, even just topics that she's talking about. Like we jumped on and kind of talked about why we should lift heavy and not the pink baby wussy weights, why we should be, maybe you feel like you're not eating enough. Maybe that's your problem. I know I've struggled with that in the past too. Maybe it's not overeating, it's undereating. She addresses all of these things I've been looking through your Instagram and I think it's fantastic. So definitely there's tons of people out there that can help you. Kim is a beautiful example of what can be done and somebody that you can follow right away if this is a health journey that you're wanting to go on yourself. So Kim, at the end of every podcast, I always ask everyone this question because I'm really fascinated with the way that people look at themselves in society. And when they hear a phrase like ladies kicking ass, I want to know what it means to people in their lives. For some people, ladies kicking ass means I'm taking a break because I have just been in grind mode forever. Sometimes ladies kicking ass means I'm going to start prioritizing my health and stop putting everybody in front of myself because without me, I can't take care of that. So when you hear the phrase, Kim, ladies kicking ass, what does that mean to you in your life?
I think it's a lady who has total clarity on what she needs, and she's not afraid to ask for it.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. You got to be able to open your mouth and have a big voice and ask for what you want. I think as women, we've self-suffered for a long time of saying, well, it's not happening for me, but we haven't ever asked for it either. So I love that. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And if you want a whole nother level of health, Kim is a great person to follow to do that. And just take care of yourself, babes. There's too much shit we need to get done and too many things that we want to do to feel like crap all of the time. So if you find yourself in this place or you want to take it to another level, I'm cheering you on and I'm sure Kim will be as well.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's we have to be really clear on what we need and then go for it. And I think that's a great step that you take today. Have a think about what do you need, and then go for it.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks for being part of the Ladies Kickin' Ass community. Cheers to all you badass women out there. Keep rocking your power, igniting your fire, and making waves in the service industry. If you loved today's episode, please do me a quick favor. Take a screenshot, post it, and tag us at Ladies Kickin' Ass. Be sure to include the link to your favorite episode. Your support in spreading the word means the world to us as we aim to empower even more women. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more kick-ass episodes. And don't forget, a 5-star review is the ultimate high five. Connect with us on social media. All the links are in the show notes. Thank you for being part of our tribe. Now go kick some serious ass, lady.